Okay, three Sharira is the Stula, Sukshma and Karana, three Shariras. Okay, so now let's understand this even properly. So now, yesterday we understood with the help of a screen, a laptop screen or whatever. Today we'll understand it with a cinema screen. Okay, so we've all been to cinemas. So when we enter, suppose they've not started the advertisement, what we see is a blank screen. Okay, a white blank screen. And then when the movie starts or the advertisement starts, suddenly that screen is no longer visible. Suddenly there is only names and forms and sound and everything visible there. So if it's an animation, you will see animated objects as forms. If it's, like humans and everybody, then you will see such forms. And we are so engrossed in the movie that we forget about the screen. We have just forgotten that when we entered, there was a white screen. We forgot. We got engrossed in the movie and we saw all the forms. It's good because if the screen is visible, the forms will not be visible. So the screen becomes like, a background where names and forms and sound and everything is depicted. Sound is coming from the speakers, technically, and the forms are visible on the screen. Okay, now that the forms are visible, what's it? Any issue with the volume? No. So when the forms are visible, we actually get involved in their play. But next, suppose there's another movie. Then another movie is played on the same screen. Again, there are different forms. So now we need to understand that these forms are not sticking to the screen. Because if they were sticking, we couldn't play another movie. So they are reflected on the screen. Similarly, on the screen of consciousness, everything that we see, Prakriti, is reflected. That's why we say it's not real. Like suppose it's on the screen, can we go and say like, oh wow, what a beautiful act it was? No, we can't meet anybody, we can't talk to anybody. There is a projector and there is a light with the help of which they are able to roll the CD or the whatever they have, the cinema roll, and with that naturally it just gets reflected on the screen. So this is how we understand that when we say what is there in a dream, it's just a reflection. It seems to be there, but it is there and it is not there. So was the movie there? Yes. Were the actors playing good role or whatever? Yes. It was shot at some time. So then it's now reflected on the screen. Even if there is bloodshed, even if they're playing Holi, or maybe they're lighting up all the crackers for Deepavali, nothing burns. The screen doesn't burn. Okay. There is no color on the screen. Everything is plain. As soon as the movie is over, there's another movie. So then we need to understand what's happening. Similarly, all of us are like those characters with names and forms on the screen. Like we understood with the Zoom screen. Okay, laptop screen. On that, there is a Zoom background. And on that, we all are there. So these are the different layers. Okay, so this is how we understand what is the avidya that we think of, the ignorance. That's the third, Karana Sharira. This will keep coming, so don't think much about it. Okay, so this is understanding that there's also one more confusion. So instead of self, we will use soul. But I'm not very fond of that word because technically we don't know soul. So that's why I always say the self. The self is the one self. So, but then we confuse with maybe it's speaking about us, individual self. So that's why then they started saying individual soul and the supreme soul. But it's very strange because there's only one soul. There are not many souls, okay? Technically, we all feel we are all souls and we are all gathered together. There is only one soul. So then there's only one screen. Okay, there's only one screen and there are different movies going on. Similarly, there's only one soul. But because we couldn't understand how to explain the jiva, the package, which is the body, the mind, and all these stuff, so then we started saying that, okay, this is one soul, we are all individual souls, and that one is the supreme soul. But it's unnecessary. Actually, there's only one soul, there's only one capital SELF, that is capital self. So instead of self, we'll say soul, or we'll say Paramatma, or we'll say supreme consciousness, or whatever it is, or consciousness. It's one. So what we started dividing, we are consciousness, that is supreme consciousness. We are soul, that is supreme soul, or whatever, the soul, whatever, the self. So then it gets confusing. So what we need to understand is there's only one screen. And we all are being depicted on that. We are all reflected on that. But what gets reflected is the sthula, the physical body. The subtle body is not visible. It is not visible. The mind is not visible. The intellect not visible. Chitta, ego, nothing is visible. So because the sukshma sharira, the subtle body is not visible, we started calling it jiva. Okay, the jiva or the jivatman, there is only one atma. Now we have made jivatma, paramatma. But actually there is only atma. Only atma. So then to make it simpler for people, we divided that into jivatma, paramatma. Okay, soul, supreme soul. Consciousness, supreme consciousness. So, but why the word also got linked was because it is closest. Okay, this subtle body is closest to the consciousness. There is an amsha, without the unmanifest, there is no manifest. We need to understand, without the screen, can we watch the movie? No. Even if you have a projector, we need a wall. And a plain wall, not a designer wall. So we need a plain wall to watch something, plain screen to watch something. So that's why it's important. So then the screen is there. So without the screen, we can't watch. Very simple. Without consciousness, no names and forms. Simple. Without consciousness, no subtle body also. No mind, buddhi, nothing. So finally, it is that one consciousness, that one soul, that one whatever you understand, one Brahman, जिससे सब कुछ आता है, because of which everything gets reflected. Otherwise, no chance. Okay, so this we need to clear in our minds. Okay, that there is only one soul, there is only one Brahman. There are not too many. During the shlokas, it will come the jiva, the embodied soul, and all that, and we'll get confused. So the embodied soul is basically that part of the consciousness which is subtle, which has the mind, buddhi, the intellect, chitta, the memory, and the ego. Okay, so this pack is called jiva. Because it has two ways. One, it is also attached to the body. It's utilizing the body to fulfill its desires, and at the same time the light is coming from the consciousness, without which the subtle body won't work. The mind is enlightened actually and lit by the consciousness. Once it's lit by the consciousness, the desires start getting life. Okay, and when the desires start, getting life, they want to express. And to express, they need a sthula sharira. They need a body. So the light reflected on the mind, the mind-body package, the mind-buddhi package reflects, and then that reflects onto the body, takes a body and starts expressing itself. So the unmanifest became the manifest. But actually, do you think the unmanifest actually became the manifest? No. We felt the unmanifest became the manifest and it will soon become the unmanifest. Actually, actually unmanifest is as it is, no changes. The manifest is just but a reflection. So now it's very difficult for us to take it. We feel, what is this? We are just reflections, aren't we? Have we seen our face ever without a mirror? No. What do we see in the mirror? Reflection. So we have seen only reflections, right? Right now. So we say, no, I see your face directly. Do we? No, the reflection falls on this eyeball and then the image gets reflected of the other person. There's no direct seeing ever happening. We have never seen each other. It's always reflection to reflection. So there are only reflections. But we never think about it. Because when we see a nice physical body and we say, chalo, ye to sharir hai, pakka. Or this apna khud ka bhi, even we feel this is a sharira. But think about it. We have been and seen only reflections. So there is only reflection. Other than consciousness, everything else is pure reflection. Like suppose the moon, okay? It's not a great example, but the full moon is in a lake, okay? The reflection. When we see the reflection of the moon, we know there is a moon. That's why there is a reflection. Then we look up, oh, there is the moon, okay. So technically there is a reflection in the lake. That reflection is what we are speaking of, forms and names and all these things. There is only one. Okay, there is one moon, okay. And there are 5 different lakes, okay, small lakes or maybe pond or whatever, okay, 5 or 6 or 50. Now the reflection of the moon is going to fall on all the 50 ponds. Same to same, one moon. Okay, how many reflections? Don't know. As many reflecting surfaces are available, that many reflections. But moon is one. Now suddenly I see, like, suppose even if we keep a vessel, okay, with water, open vessel, if we keep 100 vessels with water full, the moon will reflect in all the 100. Now should I think there are 100 moons? No, there is only one moon. Okay, there is one moon but getting reflected in different reflecting surfaces. Surface has to be a reflecting surface. Okay, so this is how we understand that there is one and then many. But the moon, did it break into that many? No. One moon, that many reflections. One consciousness, so many reflections. One Zoom meeting, as many as you want will be reflections. So there is only one. And from that, the reflections are forming. Okay, so this is basic. Let's see how it goes further.